So today, the topic that uh, Positive Peace Generation reached out to me to share with us today is something that most of us are either into and we don't know that we're in it, or most of us want to be in it, right? And there are two big points here. There is business and then leadership, right? Some of us are in business, either by default or by interest. And some of us are in leadership, either by default still or by interest, right? And today we would want to merge the two. We would want to have a bigger picture and a bigger understanding what business leadership is, right? Because everything rises and falls on leadership. If there's no leadership in anything, then it's dead. Okay? So before we start, I'd like us to, so like I mentioned, my name is Denis. I love working so much with teams, with young people. I love leadership a lot. The very first time I offered myself for leadership was in my Form 5. I took so long to accept that I am a leader, simply because, one, I feared responsibility. Two, I felt that growth needed a lot from me, right? We all know leadership is a journey, right? Leadership is not a destination. You can never arrive in leadership. It is a journey. It's a journey that you can never arrive in. And then a journey definitely has challenges, problems, issues, wins, success, again. And it's a story to tell in leadership. So when I offered myself to lead in Form 5, I merged the winner in one of the positions, health prefect, as to say. So that is the time I actually knew that leadership was not only about responsibility and the position or the title or the power and authority that you have, but it became more of a journey of growth to me, right? It became more of an opportunity to serve, right? And in leadership, when you serve, you grow, right? That's the benefit that you get. When you serve, you grow, right? So from that time, I started engaging so much in working with teams. I've worked with so far 20 plus teams, both locally and globally, on different projects. And I've come to work with young people and individuals who have different character traits, who have different combinations of skills, of talent, right? And so these are all things that contribute to teamwork. These are all things that contribute to leadership. And the moment you are in a leadership position, there are some characters and some things that you begin to experience about yourself, right? You begin to experience some things about yourself. I, for one, before joining leadership, I felt that I could work very well in teams, right? Until I met individuals who are very challenging to work with. For example, you give someone a task, they'll dodge around, and the deadline comes, there's nothing that they can deliver, right? I came to realize that working in teams is something that is very interesting, right? Most especially if you're working with people who have identified with your vision as the leader, right? A vision is not only supposed to be put on a banner like this, but a vision is supposed to be sold out to the team, right? And that is when leadership becomes beautiful, because when the vision shifts from me, the founder, to the team members, right? Everyone now carries the responsibility, right? It shifts from becoming a founder's responsibility to the team's responsibility. And that's where teamwork comes in. And that's where collaboration comes in. And that's where top performance then comes in. So Earlier when I mentioned our topic is business leadership, and I just want to pick our thoughts, our expectations. What do you expect of such a conversation or a training on business leadership? What comes to your mind when someone speaks about business leadership, right? Is it money? Is it what? Just some quick thoughts. Some quick thoughts. What would be our expectation on such a training or on such a topic? Some hands, please. Expectations on the topic business leadership. What do you expect? Thank you very much. Anyone else? Anyone person? Anyone? Any other expectation? Yes, please. How to achieve business goals. Okay. Thank you very much. Any other? One more? Just one more. What comes to your mind when we speak business leadership? Yes. Huh? Guide, direct, and influence. Okay. Guide, direct, and influence the team. Okay. Thank you very much. Oh, yes, yes, yes.
It's about getting to understand business ethics.
Business ethics. Wow. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Are you good to use this? Okay. So, good to know. So, business leadership, these are the three things we're going to speak about. We're going to speak about leading yourself as an individual. This is priority. Every kind of leadership starts with an individual, right? Whether it's leading an organization, whether a firm, whether it's school. If there are no individuals, then there's no leadership. Leading the business. Of course, how do you lead? Some of us are speaking about business integrity and everything. How do you lead your business? Of course, leading your business involves some skills, involves a team, and so on. And how do you lead results, right? Can we move to the next? Move. Continue. Yes. So the objectives for this training: one, we're going to understand what leadership is. I had a very wonderful answer where someone said, talked about business leadership having some part of influence, right? Business leadership, understanding leadership, we talk about building self-discipline, talk about leading teams and your entity, and then growing sustainably. Next slide. Next slide. So, very quickly before we get into the gist, this is something that this is just a reality check. How many of us run businesses? I already had some people mention that. How many of us run businesses? How many of us have a product that they sell? Any product, whether it's sweet, whether it's anything, a product or a service. Wonderful. So we just want to have a reality check, right? Sometime I was in some leadership, business leadership training, and the person who was training us mentioned that any person who wants to succeed in terms of income and economics stuff, they should sell something, right? You should be able to sell something. You should be able to sell something, whether it's a product or a service, but sell something, right? Because in that field of business and entrepreneurship, there's freedom to make the money that you want to make, right? There's freedom, right? Fine, many of us could be working for certain individuals or certain companies, but what makes entrepreneurship count is when you are running something, is when you are selling something, right? It ticks very, very much. We just want to make a reality check. We just want to understand from our own perspective still, why do small or large businesses fail? Yes. Poor management and planning. Thank you. Yes. Why do small businesses fail or large businesses fail? Yes. Morning. Yeah, we didn't get your name. You can mention your name and then morning. Thank you. Thank you. Nice to see you.
So, me, I think where small businesses can fail, one may not do enough research about that business to know how positively can it go forward. Because it can't only be positive, it can also be negative. And in case of the negative way of how the business can grow, how impactful is it going to affect the owner? Or something like that. I think it's more of research.
Thank you. Thank you. Two more? Yes.
Mine, I'm not calling that it will work out the theory. It will work out theory. Most of us, almost both startup businesses, are just told by friends that once that start of business,
There's a hot deal here.
By the time we get into the reality of how the real thing runs, you are just a what's it.
Yeah, yeah. Last one? Yes.
Management of finances.
Management of finances. Yes. Wonderful. Next slide, please. So the previous slide, William mentioned that. Can you take back to the previous slide? So business success is not luck, right? It's not luck. You won't succeed by luck. You won't succeed by prayer or tithing or anything. It's leadership, right? Everything rises and falls on leadership. Remember saying this. If the leadership of any business is not straight, right, then do not expect any miracles, right? Leadership involves a lot of things that if you don't put your leadership right, whether you have two people on the team, there's always a head, right? There's nothing like, there's nothing like, there's no head here. There should be leadership, right? There should be someone to lead something. There should be someone to do the leadership. There should be someone to report to. There should be someone that is called the leader of that place, right? And so if there's no leadership, there's no success. Next slide. So what is business leadership? One, self-leadership. Now, self-leadership is the foundation of everything, right? It is the foundation. Just like how you're building the house, start with the foundation. You don't start from the windows. So self-leadership is the beginning of success. If you master your values as an individual, if you master your skill, if you master your character, if you master ways of working with people, if you master your money, then you will master the money of the business. You can't master the money of the business if you not mastered your own money. Okay? So self-leadership is really the foundation of everything. That is the beginning. You can't jump to people leadership before even you lead yourself. No. Right? So the first is self-leadership. Second is people leadership. How well do you work with people? Right? I've told you I've worked with 20 plus teams, and I've met teams that have given me headache. Right? I remember the first time. I remember there's a time I got selected to become a national coordinator for a global organization in Uganda here. I became very excited. I was still at campus, Chambogo University. I became a national coordinator, became very excited, posted everywhere. 3 months down the road, I became stressed. Why? Because it was a group of students to work with from different universities, right? So as a national coordinator, I was the focal point for the organization in Uganda. This is a global organization, remember. We have tasks that come from the global office, and then we have an action plan that we have to deliver as the local chapter, right? So 3 months down the road, it became stressful. I didn't know people I was working with. I couldn't trust anyone. I couldn't delegate, right? And I was, I was like the CEO. You know, the CEO. Sometimes people say CEO is chief of everything, right? Like you do, I was doing everything. I was doing the posting, I was doing the marketing, as reaching out to universities, I was literally doing everything because I'd not understood how to work with people, right? There are people that you need to simply just trust for them to do for you things. There are people that you simply need to just motivate, not with money, but to motivate them with you can motivate them with things like um, being there for them, right? Valuing them more, right? Mentoring them. That can be a kind of motivation. There are people that you can motivate with money still, right? Next is resources leadership, right? This is basically managing resources. Now, sometimes, some time back, I attended some training on financial management personally, and one of the actions that I left and I was going to do for at least for the next 1 month or two, was to track my expenses. And I remember I was with some friend, and so 2 months down the road, 3 months after us working on that action point, a friend of mine tells me every time he tracks his finances, he even spends more. Again, every time he tracks, he even spends more. So he felt that it was better for him to work without tracking his finances. Again, so is basically about priorities, right? Priorities. Do you have a saving priority? Do you have a spending priority? Do you have what is of importance? Do you have what is priority? Do you have what is urgent? Right? Everything can't be urgent. Let's take the truth. Everything can't be a priority, right? And everything can't be important, right? If we have that mindset, then we shall spend anyhowly. And of course, all these lead to growth and results. Next slide, please. So I mentioned self-leadership is the foundation, right? Leading yourself is like the beginning of everything, right? How do you lead yourself out of bed? How do you lead yourself to study? How do you lead yourself to make relationships? How do you lead yourself um, out of problems, right? It's everything rotates about around leading yourself, right? How do you lead your actions, right? How do you manage your actions? How do you manage your emotions? This is all about leadership, emotional intelligence, right? How do you have a consistent focus, right? Right nowadays we live in a world that is full of noise. There's a lot of noise everywhere. There's a lot of distraction everywhere, right? There's a lot of distraction online. There's a lot of distraction at home, at school, at workplaces. So there's a lot of distraction everywhere. And if we fail to find the power to lead ourselves, right, in a consistent, focused direction, then we lose it all. How do we take responsibility? This is all self-leadership, right? It is all self-leadership. And eventually, how do we make sure that we are able to garner the results that we need? So I have a mentor who keeps saying that leadership takes time, right? And leadership is a journey, right? So every time we get into leadership, it is and they keep saying that there are two things that happen in leadership. Leadership is either the best things that can happen for you or the worst things that can happen for you, right? If you're leading, it can be a good time for you or a bad time for you in leadership, right? And in leading yourself, if you're able to manage some of these bad moments, bad days, good moments, success and everything, then be rest assured that when you get a team to work with, it can be a wonderful moment for you to learn how to manage. Right? Any question about self-leadership before we get to people leadership? Any question? Any question about self-leadership? Yes.
Mine would be simply be what are the simple, like all the normal characteristics that can identify me, that can identify myself in leadership, or that can guide you to pass of leadership. The simple characteristics that I can do always to show me in the rights of leadership.
So this is the thing. There are characteristics and there are traits that you are naturally born with, right? You're born with them. No one trains you. Speak of an example. You could be someone with integrity. That is something that is not trained, right? Are we trained to be trustworthy and people of integrity? No. You can have love as an individual, right? Love is not taught, I don't think, right? We can have things as listening, which is a skill. It can be taught and it can also be inborn, right? So, and John Maxwell calls these values, right? These are values, personal values, right? So, personal values grow from within and then they sprout out. You get love will grow from within you and then it sprouts out to the team members. Integrity is not picked from the streets, it's picked from within you, then it sprouts out. What else? Right? So these are some of the values that we can pick from within ourselves. Right? Multiply them. I told you our leadership is a journey. Right? When you identify that you're good at listening or you want to be good at listening, it's a journey. It's not something that you do a one-off. If you want to be a person of good integrity, Maxwell says integrity is a decision you make once and you keep for the rest of your life, right? You decide that from today I want to be someone of good integrity, right? And the opposite is true. If you can decide that you want to be someone, what's the opposite of integrity? Is it deceit? Like, right? Is it deceit? Opposite of What's the opposite of integrity? Right? so these are values that you can choose, right? And you work with them in your leadership journey. Yes.
When you say integrity, can you elaborate?
Integrity is like trustworthiness. No, it's not self-respect. It's like trustworthiness, right? Amazima. Do you know Uganda? Amazima, right? Exactly. Integrity or trustworthiness is being truthful to yourself and others, whether you're in public or not. Again, so this is something that is not taught anywhere. You won't come to a class and they teach you how. So if you want to be integrity, A, B, and C, and D, and D. No. It is personal, right? It's personal. And once you decide that from today, I am going to be a person of integrity, I'm going to be a trustworthy person, right? It is also your decision to either keep it or drop it, right? You keep it or drop it. And these are things that are making young people make meaningful friends, make meaningful connections, have important engagements, and so on, right? Sometimes it's not skills that are, sometimes it's not the skills that we are trained, leadership skills and so on. Sometimes it's the hidden personal values that get us where we are. Okay, I started by telling you that these values, they start from within, then they sprout out. I promise you, if you're a person of integrity, it will show itself. It takes time. People will see it. If you're a person, if you're a leader who loves, I'm not talking about the other love. I'm speaking about this love, right? The agape love. I don't know, right? The agape love, right? If you're a person who loves others, I promise you, it will show itself. People will see it, right? The other value that Maxwell speaks about is multiplication. Multiplication is like you producing yourself, right? If I'm a leader and I know something, I'll make sure he knows it. I'll make sure he knows it, right? This is also something that is not trained, right? It is gubanga mutima, you get, right? And some of us, if we're in workplaces, we want to be the only one who can do something, right? And my mentor challenges me. What she knows is what she wants you to know. You get? It's called reproducing yourself. What she knows is what she wants you to know. You get? Multiplication. Multiplication. So it's so self-leadership is very big. It's very big. And if we don't understand self-leadership, trust me, we shall not understand people leadership, we shall not understand business leadership, we shall not understand teamwork and team management, right? Because the moment we fail to be self-aware of ourselves, we shall not be self-aware of other people. It is impossible, right? If we fail to be self-aware of ourselves, we cannot be self-aware of the people around us. Right? Remember, growth is a journey. Leadership is a journey. Things like trust take time, right? Okay, next slide. And here are some core pillars of self-leadership: discipline, clarity, consistency, accountability. Discipline is basically doing what you have to do, right? Not doing what you want to do. Get the point? Discipline is doing what you have to do, even if you feel like not doing it. That's the discipline. Discipline requires consistency, right? Clarity. Clarity grows from self-awareness. If I know that I'm someone who, if I know that I'm a good speaker, if I know that I want to do this and this and this, if I know that I want to become um, a money lender, if I know that I want to become a business trainer, if I know that I want to become something, there should be some clarity from yourself, right? Is whatever that you're aiming at clear to you first of all, before it gets clear to other people. Again, make sure it's clear to you before it's clear to other people. Again, because the moment it's not clear to you as an individual actions, but every day, every time, every minute, everywhere, right? it's consistency. If you're on a journey of growth, how consistent are you to make sure you reach a level you want to reach, right? Accountability, owning up your results, no excuses. If it fails, you fix it. If it works, you improve it, right? I mean, these are these are practical things that sometimes you overlook, but until we get into spaces where we need to be accountable for our actions, for our results, for our decisions, then we shall know the importance of accountability. One time I worked in a workplace where I was supposed to make a decision, but later defend it, right? Because I was put in a mix of I couldn't reach my bosses, and it was now me to make the decision, right? So whatever decision that I made, whether it backfired or not, I had to be, I was supposed to be accountable. I was supposed to own it, right? So not until we get into such spaces and such scenarios, then we shall know some of these things. So a question here, which one do you struggle with most, discipline or clarity, and why? Can you have some thoughts? Which one do you struggle with, discipline or clarity? Did you get the difference, discipline and clarity? Which one do you struggle with? Or which are we good at? That could be the other question. Which of these two are we good at, or which of these two do we struggle with, and why? Do you struggle with discipline? Why? Are you good at discipline? Why? Do you struggle with clarity? Why? Or are you good with clarity, and why? Let's share. I don't want to preach. I want us to share, to talk. Yes.
Consistency.
Mm.
I think I'm sure.
Mm.
Better than that.
Okay. Better late than never. Okay. Yes. Any other? Sure. You have something to say? Okay. Please, let's share. Yes, please. We didn't get your name, so you tell us your name and then yeah. Yes.
So, me personally, I would say this thing, because in most cases, I know what I want to do. It's clear. I see that I want to do this and this, like, it's very clear. But keeping it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. One or two. One or two more. Yes, please.
I will say consistency.
Mm.
Some of us when we go once, we never try
Again. Yes.
I try out something, then we come try out a business.
Mm.
Once I fail at the beginning,
Mm.
I would
I give up. Okay. You have a hand? Any other? Any other before we get to the next? Okay. Please. Next slide. So this is just a practical exercise I want us to do. I don't know if we have where to write, each of us. We could just, this is helpful, right, to us individually. Then you take a screenshot with your phone and maybe type the answers in your notepad. But this is something that we can do now. We can have around 5 minutes to do it. So, one, write down one habit you need to stop in leadership. So whether we are leaders or not, there's a point of time we shall have to lead, right? One, the lowest level of leadership is a title. Two, you don't need the title. You don't need a title to lead, right? And three, you can lead anywhere, right? You can lead anywhere. And whether you lead for 2 minutes, or whether you lead for 5 minutes, or 1 hour, or 1 year, there's always a point of time where each of us will lead. And at that point of time, we shall need to display our leadership skills, right? Before, personally, I actually also thought leadership skills was about talking, guys. Talking. Given a platform like this, you talk. But leadership is, talking is just, I think the last, right? Talking is just at the bottom. Okay, so I think 3 minutes will be enough. One habit you need to stop in leadership. One habit you need to start in leadership. One area you must take responsibility for in your leadership. Are they clear, or we need some more clarity? Are they clear? So let's give ourselves 3 minutes, and then we can be able to. Some of us are trained, right, to acquire the skills. The first one is decision making. The moment you realize that decision making is tough, right, you get into a leadership position and your decision either brings growth or failure to the team. Get into that position, or when you find yourself in that position, right, your decision as a team leader can bring growth or failure to the team, or success or failure to the team. That is when you realize the decision making is very important. Personally, I used to shy from decision making, right? Because one, you need to take responsibility of the decisions that you make. Not so. You need to do so. So every time I got into that position, I would either ask for more time to think about it, or I would push it to the to my other colleague to do so. But there's something as good as quick decision making in leadership, right? Quick decision making is not just making decisions without perusing through or understanding the dangers and everything. Quick decision making is a skill, because not every time will be enough for you to make a decision. There are some decisions you need to make very quick as a leader, right? Doesn't matter whether they will cause failure or success. Of course, leadership has all those. It has failure, it has success, right? But when we fail, do we learn, right? And when we succeed, do we keep the consistency of success, right? Decision making. Two, financial management. Any business leader needs financial management, right? Some of us are naturally born good savers. We can save, right? Pretty economical. We can, right? We're economical with our budgets, right? Some of us are spenders, right? But how do we master our financial management and intelligence skill? Right? Because earlier on I said, if you can't handle your financial management, then you cannot handle the financial management of the team, right? If you cannot handle your finances, then definitely you can't handle the finances of the team or the organization. Three, people leadership. This is key. Everywhere that you go, you need to work with people, right? There's no place that you go and you work alone. Nothing. I promise you, there's no place that you go and you work alone. Yeah. No place on earth that you go and you work alone. And people leadership involves communication. right? Communication doesn't mean public speaking. Communication is written. Communication is both oral. There's that story I told you when I became frustrated about leadership, and after 3 months of no work, of no achievements in my leadership tenure, I just zeroed down to one thing: communication. I decided from now on I will communicate uh, information, I will communicate results, I will communicate opinions. I'll make sure I communicate with everyone on the team, right? Personally, but also on the group, right? And I made sure that the communication was having clarity. Okay. 6 months down the road, I tell you, the team was working out, and I just used communication. I didn't apply any other skill, right? I communicated. I made sure communication was very effective, right? By the time I finished my tenure, I was nominated as one of the best student leaders in Africa. Okay. Just because I picked one. Communication is what I zeroed down on, right? Negotiation. Some of us are good negotiators. We can negotiate very well, right? We can uh, we can crack those deals, right? We can influence people through negotiating. We can influence deals through negotiating. Empathy. Empathy is basically empathy is important for a leader, because as a leader, one, John Maxwell still mentions that there are two more consecutive days in a leader's life, right? Today, you'll be very happy as a leader. Tomorrow, the team will get into some problem and your happiness is down, right? So empathy is how do you get into your fellows' shoes, right? How do you feel what they feel, right? It's very important in leadership. How do you feel what your team members feel, right? Is it a tough moment? Can you feel it with them? Is it a fun moment? Can you feel it with them? Is it an encouraging moment? Is it a bad time? Can you feel it with them? Can you understand what your team members feel? Right? It's very it's a skill that can be inborn, but can also be taught. Right? Empathy. Right? You learn how to feel what your team members feel. Right? You learn to get into their shoes. Right? It's very important. Trust. I mentioned that trust takes time, right? Trust takes time. Before you achieve performance from your team, right? There's an element of trust somewhere, right? There's an element of trust. And why it takes time? Because trust will be built and broken. Trust will be built and broken, right? But every time it's built and broken, there is a brick that remains standing on trust. Yet, every time trust is built and broken, there's a brick that remains standing, right? So, it's still about consistency. You should be consistent about building trust. Again, you should be very consistent about building trust. Accountability, we spoke about it already. Accountable to yourself, to your team, to the people that you work with. Very important. So, a business falls when the leader fails to decide, grow, or lead people. Right? Whether you're leading an organization, whether you're leading a school, whether you're leading a company, right? However big, however small, if you can't decide, if you can't grow, and if you can't lead people, let me speak about growth. So, as a leader, if you're not growing, right? Let me say I'm the team lead. If I'm not consistently growing, then the people I'm leading are not growing. You get the point? If I'm not growing as a leader, when the people that I'm leading are not growing, why? Because what will the people that you're leading learn from you? Nothing, right? That's the importance of growth. Growth, growth for any leader is priority, right? Every time you grow, you may not know that maybe your colleague is learning something from you indirectly, right? But if you attach this growth, if you add on the mentorship, intentional mentorship and everything, then growth becomes collective. You grow as an individual first, then you grow your team as well, right? Because we know the saying that you cannot give what you don't have. If you're not growing as a leader, what will you give to your team members? If you're not growing as a leader, okay, what will you give to your business in this case? If you're not growing in your areas of finance, right? Becoming good at managing finance. If you're not growing in negotiating for your business, how will the business grow? If you're not growing in in trusting, first of all, trusting yourself with money. How can other people trust you with their money? Right? So growth is big, is this broad, and growth is something that any leader should take as priority, right? I think there's an institution. I'm a student at Franklin Institute of Leadership and Public Management. It's an institution that enrolls leaders in the public service, or general leaders in Uganda, to get into their 6 months program of understanding what values are, understanding how to lead people, understanding how to work with people. And I've been with them for 4 years now. So the first time I joined the program, I graduated, and the second year, my mentor gave me a team of people to work with, 10 people like this. And so the moment I realized that the 10 people that I've given, remember this is a public servants program. And so in the program, they were government, the government officials, there's a reverend, there was a lecturer, there was an accountant, and there was a chief judge in the group I was given to lead. So when I almost took off from the program. But what made me stay is I spoke to her, and the first question I asked her is, do you think I've managed to lecture these people or to facilitate these people for 6 months? Something that I learned from them, right? From each of them, there's something I learned from them. How someone speaks, how someone responds, how someone answers questions, how someone coordinates things, how someone organizes their things. There's something about growth hidden in everything, every single step of that journey, right? So growth is priority in any leader's life. Any question from this? Yes.
Okay, thank you. My name is Ronald Mumbere.
Yes. Yes.
Ansanga.
Thank you, Rotary. Yes.
I happen to serve finance and economic finance on this road here.
Okay.
And this road here will be serving rather me.
Okay.
Professional-wise, I'm an environmental scientist.
Okay. Yes.
Harvan International University.
Okay.
Now, since after graduation, I had to start some small business. Step on the Harvan market, motorbike spare parts. My question will be centering about decision making. How best can someone start to influence or can co-workers make decisions for betterment? Find someone like those guys at mechanics, where next You need to wait for Ronald
To come and make yes.
So how best can I start to embrace their decisions for the business?
Of the business. Okay.
Using other people, how can we lead that is effective, won't harm other.
Yeah, thank you. That's a powerful question. So, first of all, leaders eat last, right? Leaders eat last. When you are going to make decisions, speak last, right? Allow everyone to make decisions. I mean, allow everyone to bring in their opinions, right? Let the opinions come in. There's one time I worked for a company, and we were just in a meeting, and the cleaner was cleaning around. So the boss was asking for our opinions. And so we gave in our opinion. So the cleaner also just, I think, unintentionally spoke out something, and I mean, and that is what the boss took, right? But the boss was just listening, right, without saying anything. The boss spoke last, right? So in decision making, it is wisdom, right, for you as the team lead to just open up the floor for the team to bring in the ideas, for the team to bring in their thoughts. Write them down, right? Do not challenge the thought. Do not respond to a thought directly. Just listen. I mentioned listening is a skill, right? Just listen to their thoughts, right? Listen to their thoughts, and out of all those thoughts, you can even listen without you making the final conclusion. Just listen, get the thoughts, and go back and just go through them. It's powerful, right? It's powerful because in a room of leaders, the leader standing or the boss is not the wisest. I get, yeah. The leader is not the like the team lead is not the wisest, and the best ideas do not often come from the team lead. They can come from the story I told you, the cleaner. You get, so eat last, speak last. That's it. Any other? Yes.
Okay, I feel like as you're talking about funding company, I want to talk on behalf of the small business owners, those people who are just setting up their own business.
Yes.
Let us just imagine only one person
Yes.
working in that small business. Let us say mobile money
Agents.
yes. And I'm working alone. Just in case I need to make a big decision, who should I consult?
You're working alone? Okay. One, mentorship is key, right? Whether you're running a mobile money or you're running spare parts, there can be someone who's better. Definitely, there's someone who's better than doing that, right? There are mobile money agents who are constantly having customers, right? And the mobile money agents who are constantly suffering from scarcity of customers, right? So you may not directly ask for them to make a decision to your business, but ask for their thought, right? Ask for their thought on one thing that you've encountered. Ask for their opinion, right? It helps because as solo entrepreneurs, the power that we always have is learning from example, right? Since we don't have a team to learn from, we learn from example, right? We pick, we identify people that inspire us, people that are thriving in that similar business, and then we befriend them. We learn from them. We pick thoughts from them. We may even ask for mentorship from them. You get, right? Yeah. Any other? Okay, yes, next slide. Yeah, we actually were in questions. Any other question about self-leadership? Any question on self-leadership? Any question on self-leadership? Yes, next slide. So here's a simple group conversation for us. I think we just pair in like 2 or 3, right? And we'll just out something small. The group activity is called fix the profit problem, right? You can have a business that is running and making a profit, but you don't see the profit. Huh? The business can be running, but you don't see the profit. Yet it can be making money. You can have a spare parts shop, or you can have a mobile money, and you're making profit, but you can't see the profit, right? So that is the scenario, right? So in groups of 2 or 3, you'll be able to answer these questions. 1, we'd want to identify what the problem is in that scenario. Hmm? Did we get it? The business is running, but we don't see the profit, right? Where's the problem? Where's the problem? So I'd ask that in groups of 2 or 3, let's just stand our chairs around and face each other, and then try to work out that in like 2 minutes, and then we can give our sharings. 2 people or 3, then yeah, just share that in 3 minutes. Then we can come back. Fix the profit problem. The business is running, but you don't see the profit. What's the problem? No, like you can be like 2 people. You can have many groups. You can even form up like 3 people or 4. Yeah, just your choice. Yeah, you can form with the guys there. So in 3 minutes, and then in 2 minutes you can come and share in some few seconds.
Guys, good
afternoon.
So my name is Timo. We are a group of 3 people with my friend and then the other one. Sorry? Okay. So we came out with certain problems that can fix the profit problem. Poor supervision towards the work, especially when you have employees. And then accountability relating to auditing, failing to audit your business to know the status of the business, how it's running, are you making a profit or you are not. Then having more employers than what a business needs. You may find that you have a lot of workers and you find that your revenue ends up in paying salaries instead of saving. Then we looked at our friend gave us taxation. You may find that you are overtaxed than what you earn from the business. Then we talked about the rent. That one can lead to resources, anything that you use to come out with a business or trying the business. Then another one, failure to follow the vision of the business. It can also lead you to not know whether to fail to fix the profit problem. Since any business that you start, you should have a vision. When you fail to follow the vision, at this moment, this is where I'm supposed to be, you may fail up ending, you may fail fixing the profits problem. Then in the case of corporations failing to follow the guidelines of the institutions and values of the business. So you may end up not fixing the profits problem. Thank you, Sedi.
Thank you very much. Anyone? I think we had 2 more groups. Yes, just one person to share with us. Just give us 3 points. May not give us all the points, just 3. Just give us 3 points.
Good afternoon. My name is Napija Hadija. I'm a group of 6.
Need to come closer. Yeah, come on.
So the question was, you have a business that is running, but you can't see the profits. We have to identify the problem, right? Am I audible now? Okay. So our first answer was poor financial management. In case, okay, you're getting the profits, but then you're managing them badly. Another point was overlending the money to maybe other people or another one is poor recording, which is also called auditing. So yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much. Last group.
Hello everyone.
The camera.
Oh. Hello everyone. So we were in a group of 5, and we came up with some of the things. We got a business of a restaurant, and we came up with a few things that may hinder profits. And first of all, hygiene. You know how people are so sensitive about hygiene of restaurants. If a restaurant is dirty, of course, if you're putting on clothes that are not looking well, if the plates are anyhow, the forks and what, of course, people may not come, and it may hinder your profits. It may be a problem. So another one is creditor not paying. You know, some customers, you know, these small restaurants, let me say ours is a small restaurant. Some people can come and eat, and since it's a nearby person, like how my friend said, motorcycle guys can come and maybe eat, and he's like he will pay, and he ends up not paying, or even pays late. Yeah. So another point may be pricing that might be expensive. Then of course it may hinder the outcome of the business, of course. It may hinder how you're going to be getting your profits. I don't want to repeat some of the points my colleagues said, because like poor accountability, of course, if you don't account well how your business is going to move, of course you'll be getting problems of profits. Poor coordination, of course, you know, there is a hierarchy of Maslow of how things have to move. So if things don't move well, of course, from the top to the bottom, of course, management will be hard. The manager won't be getting what all the people that are responsible to coordinate the people in the restaurant, how things have to move. Of course, there will be a big problem. With those few remarks, I would like to stop there.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you all for engaging in the groups. How easy was that? Or how hard was that? Was it easy? Was it easy? Okay. So sometimes it's as leaders, it's good for us to pause and ask ourselves some questions, right? In this case, we were not seeing where the profit was going. But another question could be, we could be making the money and making the profits, but also we need to just pause and think, right? Pause and reflect, right? You don't only pause and reflect when there's a problem, but you can pause and reflect when you're succeeding. That's all. How do you keep the success consistent, right? In this case, we want to identify the profit problem, right? So it's important for us as business owners, as people who want to manage businesses and run businesses, get time oftenly to pause, think, reflect, plan, right? Personally, what I love doing so much as a leader is to pause, is to plan, is to reflect and think, right? Because sometimes you might be consumed with a lot can be happening. You can be making a lot of money, right? Or you can be making a lot of losses and you fail to realize, right? There's power in realizing that something is working out. There's power in realizing that something is not working out, right? So that was the importance of that. Can we go to the next slide? So we finished self-leadership. So we now want to, this will run through very fast because self-leadership was more of the foundation, right? If we understood everything about self-leadership, then we get to leading the business. So leading the business is basically about structure, right? Whether it's a small business or a big business, do we have structures in place, right? And structures is basically about the operation. How well is the business organized? Do you have, in case you have a team, do you have roles? In case you have a team, do you have processes and do you have systems? Right? What is the structure? Right? Before your business grows or before your business can employ people, right? Set structures from the beginning, right? Structures that even you, the founder or the initiator of the business, can follow, right? Because the moment you don't have structures and then you invite people to work with you, it will be a clueless, right? There'll be no structure, and so everyone can do whatever they want to do. There'll be a lot of duplicated roles. There'll be a lot of no systems, right? And so on and so on. That's something about roles which is very important for those of us who want to build bigger teams. There's a gentleman called Baldwin. Baldwin speaks about team theory and roles. He says every team on earth has three kinds of people. The first kind of category of people is the thinkers, right? So these are people on a team, on every team, who can plan, who can strategize, who can fix the problem, right? They can fix the problem. They can identify that there's a problem on profit. You're not seeing the profit, and they can fix it. But also there are people who are the people, right? So these are people who can negotiate, right? These are people who can bring business, who can bring plans for business. The people are people who make sure that everyone on the team is okay, right? They get deep into the people's lives, right? So every team has this kind of people. The last is the action people. Every team has the action people, right? The action people who do the groundwork, right? Trust me, not everyone will think, will be a people person, and then will do the action or the groundwork, right? Either you're one of them or all of them, which is sometimes very hard, or you're none of them, right? But every team definitely has those three categories of people. And so whenever we're building a team, as the leader, right? As the leader, we should be able to identify, right? Who is the action person on my team? Who is the person who cannot sit in office and then type and what, but when you send them to the field, they can do good work in the field, right? Who is the person who would constantly invite into the strategy meetings, right? Who is that brain person? And who is that people person? When you want a client on board, you can just send them and say, right? More than any one of you. But also, I can see far. Okay? That's vision. Right? Every leader sees more and sees far. Right? If you're in a leadership position and you have those advantages of which you should, or you can grow them, you see more and you see far. That gives you the ability to plan, to strategize, to put together a team. You can see more that you have a team of 5 people and you need to identify who is the thinker, who is the people person, and who is the action person. Right? You can do that. Right? It's very important. Second, when leading a business is decisions. How do you choose what to do? Right? Do you just decide from your bed? Do you just decide? Do you just decide on how to spend money when problems come? Right? Like, what is the process of decision? Right? Or what is the procedure of decision? Right? I'm sure some of you have worked with organizations where if a decision is supposed to be made, it goes from level to level. Right? In this case, if you're a solo business owner, not the best time to make a decision. Right? Sometimes in the midst of a lot of chaos, in the midst of a lot of worries and problems and stress, it's not a good time to make a decision. Right? It's a good time to pause and then say, I can't make a decision now, but tomorrow I'll have something up. Right? So decisions. Right? And decisions will determine where our business will go. Right? Decisions will determine our growth, would limit our growth, and then would definitely determine how far we can go in regards to whatever we're building. Decisions in business is very key. Next slide, please. Next slide. Direction. Whatever that you're leading, or whatever that you're building, should have a direction, right? And the direction comes from you, the leader, right? What direction do you want your business to take? Huh? What direction? The direction doesn't come from the team. It doesn't come from the peer pressure. It doesn't come from the fact that you're making sales and everything. It comes from you, the team lead. It comes from you, the vision bearer. And that's the vision, that's the strategy, right? That's the path that you want your business to take. That's the path that you want your business to take. And definitely, where do you see your business in some time? In 6 months, in 1 year, in 2 years, in 3 years, and so on and so on. When I started up my company, Material Network Development Initiative, we started it up as a group of young people like we have here. We're about 20 of us. And so when we did the paperwork, we started as a CBO. When we did the paperwork and everything, we just started and got the certificate from the division in our area. And so 1 month, 2 months down the road, we started coming up to just share how can we grow ourselves as young people. And then, as we're still discussing that, boom, we got a connection with some friend who just sent us only $100, only 100. And out of the 20 people, almost 15 people wanted us to share the $100 is how much? Not 350 or something. They wanted us to share the money. Right? That was the initial stage of us starting up this company. And so, because I knew the direction I wanted Material Network to take. So when we said no, together with some few individuals, all other took off, right? All the other took off. So direction is determined by the leader, right? Not the followers, not the team, right? You set the pace, and then the team follows, right? And it's not just setting the pace that every person can follow. It's setting sensible pace and direction, right? Of course, people will follow you if you are, if your direction is valuable, right? If you are, if your direction is worth following, okay? Direction in business is very key. Next slide, please. So again, this is what I call business clarity test. 1, what is your business? 2, who is your customer? 3, what problem do you solve? And if all these are not clear, then you need to fix it. Right? You need to fix. I learned had some people who mentioned that they have some businesses, so we just want some quick 1 minute or 30 seconds to anyone who can speak to us about the business while answering these. What is your business? That could be the name or something. And then who is your customer? And then what problem do you solve? Right? Because this alone is a good guide to give you a direction, but also to keep you consistent and focused. My business is this and this and this. If I'm selling spare parts, there's no need for me going into food. My business is spare parts, right? My customers are borders and then cars, right? What problem do you solve? Mechanical problems and whatever and so on. So do we have anyone who can share with us? Just 2 or 3 people. Yes.
Good afternoon once again.
Good afternoon.
Yes, I'm Jessica, and I have a business. It's a soap business.
Yeah, the camera person wants you to come here. Yes.
Hello everyone, once again. Okay, my name is Jessica and I have a business. It's a soap business. I do liquid soap, bar soap, and anything detergent. Anything, yeah, detergent. So my business is called, I call it Peace Enterprises. That's what I named it because it entails a lot. So who are my customers? My customers, saloon people, supermarkets, shops, households, like all those are my target groups. And what problem do I solve? Sanitation. Yes. So I want you people to be clean. Everywhere I look, I want to see cleanness. So when I was starting it,
Accounting and tax. I do specialized. I do specialize in companies. Let me follow this. Oh, yeah. The business is not yet registered, but it's operating. It's called SK, Tax and Accountancy Consultant. Then, who are my customers? My customers are basic companies and individuals who have businesses that need tax and accountancy services. Then, what problem do I solve? The problem that I solve basically are accountancy related problems, incomplete records, incomplete books to be done, and then filing of company returns, VAT, PAYE, WHT, and others. Yeah, thanks. Those are answers.
Thank you very much. Anna. Do you have any other person before we proceed? Yes. Yes. Can you give us space?
Hello everyone.
Hello.
My name is Bona Luminos Halal from Kitgum. My business is I'm a pig farmer. We make IMO solution. Our customers, all the agriculturists in the district, the country and everywhere, including agricultural students. The problem we solve is making an odorless environment for our pigs. When we make IA more, the smell doesn't disturb our urban farms. Thank you. That's what we do.
Thank you very much. Thank you all very much for sharing with us your businesses. Next slide. Next slide. So, leading people. This is one of my most interesting parts again. Leading people is the third pillar that is speaking about business leadership, right? And the last one, leading people and teamwork. One, and there are four pillars of leading people. Number one, we have trust. Trust is the foundation, right? Trust is the foundation of everything for you to work with a team. One, if I don't trust you, right, I won't see a reason as to why I should add value to you. If I don't trust you, I don't see a reason as to why I should work for you, right? And if I don't trust you, I don't see a reason as to why I should die for you or love you, right? So where there's no trust, there's nothing much that can be done, right? Because in a work environment that doesn't have trust, you have people who are just focused on work, results, right? And I promise you, it gets to a point of time, it gets boring, right? In a team that thrives, right, has a very deep element on trust. How does the team trust itself? How does the team trust you as the team leader? How do they trust you that if they make mistakes, you won't fire them, right? And if they make mistakes, you will appreciate their trial and help them grow, right? And John Maxwell says there are three questions, right? Hear this right. John Maxwell says there are three questions every follower often asks their leader. Number one, every follower asks their leader that, do you like me? Right? Every follower asks their leader, do you like me? Right? Because of what importance is it for a leader to help you grow if they don't like you? Right? Because make your own research and you'll see. People who grow under their bosses usually like them. Right? They just like them. You don't need, I don't need a reason to like you, right? You don't need to be a guy, you don't need to be tall, you don't need to be skinned, right? If leadership has love and liking one another, there's an element that goes inside there. Number two, the second question that every leader often asks, every follower rather, often asks their leaders is, just a minute here. So number one is, do you like me? Number two, can you help me? Right? Can your leader help you? Can your leader help you get better? Can your leader help you grow? Can your leader help you identify your areas of weakness and mistakes? Can your leader help you? Right? Because if they like you, they'll help you. Right? And if your leader helps you, then you will trust them, and this is where trust comes in. The third question is, can I trust you? Right? Me as your follower, can I trust you as my leader? Can I trust you that if I'm to work on your team, I'll grow? or it is, or for you as my team leader, you just want me to come and work for you, and you get, there's no mutual connection, right? Can I trust that if I to join your team, if I'm to join Peaceful Peace Generation, can I trust that I will grow with you, right? Can I trust that you will help me work on the areas of weakness? Can I trust that you will help me identify opportunities and grow with them? So those three questions, right, that eventually take us back to trust. I told us trust takes time, right? And trust is the foundation of leadership. If there's no trust in a workplace, if there's no trust in a team, not much can be done, right? If there's no trust in a team, the team cannot actually die for the cause, right? Because the team will just only work to make things happen, right? But they'll not be in a meaningful work. They'll not be top performers, right, in the team. The second pillar of teamwork is communication. This is the fuel for every team, right? This is the fuel that makes a team work out, right? Just like fuel for a car. If you want your team to move, if you want your team to grow, there should be communication, right? Communicating what? Communicate everything, right? Just communicate. It's communication, and communication should have clarity, right? If you're communicating a direction, you should have clarity. If you're communicating an example, you should have clarity. If you're communicating a task or a role, you should have clarity, right? Because once fuel is once the fuel is bad, right, then the growth is bad, right? Once the fuel is diluted, right, then your car would of course ask for more fuel very quickly. But if the fuel is heavy, if the fuel is foundational, right? If the fuel is good, then the teamwork will be good. Then delegation. Personally, for so many years, I struggled with delegation. For me, I thought delegation was to just call my friend on the team and say, please do this for me, and the deadline is this, right? But delegation is delegation is not assigning tasks, right? Delegation is not just giving people tasks to do, right? Delegation is giving people the authority to decide, right? Delegation is trusting them to deliver. You get? And the moment you find out the delegation is hard, is please delegate something to someone and they don't do it, or they do it to a level that you're not satisfied with. That's when you know that delegation is hard, right? But of course, delegation should help us on offloading the lot of things that we need to do as leaders, right? Because as leaders, the moment we are doing things that we're not supposed to do, then things won't work out, right? Delegate correctly, delegate rightly, delegate with trust, right? Delegate with authority. I love white people so much. I've worked with a few of them. But white people are the people who will show you that they have the power to do anything without even consulting their boss. That means the boss has given them the full authority to decide, right? Whether you proceed with them or not. I mean, they don't need to call the boss, no. The boss trusts them that whatever decision that they'll take is good for the company, right? And trust me, no employee can do that if they don't trust the boss. You get? So you see, trust grows from up to down, right? It grows from up to down. It's not just within the employees, or it doesn't stop at the management level. It doesn't stop in the accounting department, right? No. Trust. Actually, in this case, we're not speaking about money. We're just speaking about trust to work in the team, right? Trust to delegate, trust to give authority. Then, of course, collaboration. Sometimes you might think that teamwork is collaboration, but it's not, right? The fact that we are in a team does not mean that we are collaborating. We can be in a team and everyone is doing their own stuff, right? Collaboration involves support, right? How do we support one another in a team, right? Common mistakes many of us young entrepreneurs constantly do or face. One, the fear of starting. I feared starting up Interior Network, this company is mine, for about 3 years. I had the wonderful paperwork on book. I had the vision, I had the mission, I had the programs. But every time I thought of registering, I found another reason to first wait, right? I found another reason to make it perfect. I found another reason to seek guidance from someone if whatever I was doing was correct, right? But sometimes starting doesn't need perfection, right? Perfection comes the moment you start it, right? Perfection comes if you do it consistently, and perfection doesn't come easy, right? It comes with time also. So the fear of starting is the beginning of losing. If you fear to start, then you're losing out. Then money management, of course. This, of course, digs back to individual. Right? If you can't manage your money well, then of course you won't manage the money of the business well. Right? There's a saying that 90% of the founder's character traits, the founder, right, are portrayed in the organization. Right? 90% of the founder's character traits are portrayed in the organization that they started. If you found an organization or if you found a company, right, your characters, let's say some of your characters are trust, maybe rudeness, or something like that. So slowly by slowly, whatever that you have as an individual will portray itself in the company. Trust me, right? Whatever that you are as an individual, as the founder, will somehow find itself either within the workers that you hire or within the business itself. You hear people saying, business, the company, you get. Like, you get, it's just an example, right? But there are some traits that will slip along the way and get into 90%. So lack of focus also. That sometimes it's good for us to try out many things, but sometimes it's also good for us to be consistent about whatever we've started, right? Sometimes it's just not easy for us to start something and then we keep failing, and then keep focused about it. No, and it's not easy, but focus on how you want to see it, on how you want to improve it, right? That focus sometimes is not there, and we all know that the world we live in today is a world full of distractions, right? Sometimes when I'm scrolling on internet, I find very wonderful businesses, right? And sometimes I think if I had all the money by now, maybe I'd be having like 7 businesses. But it doesn't make sense, right? So sometimes focus kills us so much, right? That even if we had potential in growing something, it fails to mature because we've not focused on improving it, because we've not focused on making it mature. Then of course doing everything alone. Yeah, sometimes I know when we are solo founders, it's okay to do everything alone for the first time, but when you get a team, this is where delegation comes in. This is where roles comes in. This is where trust comes in. This is where communication comes in, right? In that you're not supposed to do everything as a founder, right? You delegate, you trust, you empower, right? You train, you teach. You make sure your team can do what you can do. You multiply yourself, right? You multiply yourself as the founder. Then no mentorship. The moment I realized that mentorship is unmatchable, when I first asked a lady who was in some big office somewhere to be my mentor, She accepted, but along the way, I felt the mentorship was hectic, right? Because of assignments and tasks and so on. But when she left, I realized that there's a big gap, right? Because whatever she was mentoring me in, I failed, right? The moment she left, right? So if there's no mentorship, you don't let's not expect the growth that we see outside there with other people, right? If there's no mentorship, if there's no example to learn from, there are people who are always doing something better than us. Trust me. You can grade yourself and think you're the best at something, but there's always someone who is very good, right? And if you seek out mentorship and support, then we can be as good as that. We're almost ending, yes, almost the last lines. So this is just a personal initiative. Every time we have conversations and trainings, and it's just important for you to pick up an action that you'll take, right? Maybe the next 1 month, in the next 1 week, to kind of gauge your consistency, right? And to kind of gauge your understanding, right? So one, action plan. Just write down one goal that you focus on, like in the next 1 month, right? Just one goal that you focus on in the next 1 month. Is it on improving your communication? Is it on improving your financial management? Is it on improving your people management, on your people skills, right? Just one goal. And then one business habit to change. Are you the one who's eating profit constantly? Eh? Are you the one who's been trying to fix here? So a habit is something that does not change overnight. It takes time as well, right? And you realize how a habit grows is that you do it today, you do it tomorrow, you do it. So again, if you want to change it, you should consistently do the reverse, right? If you want to change a habit, replace it with something else, right? The habit is not changed by just saying today I want to do this. If you want to change a habit, replace it with something, right? Instead of eating capital, what can you do, right? Again, so replace it with something. One action you take this week, right? After this training, one action you take this week. Doesn't matter, just in your area of business imagination. What action? Will you make some research about some business that you want to jump in? Are you in a business that you're not sure of? Will you, just an action that will help you grow as a business leader or as a student. The business grows when you grow, right? The business grows when you grow. You will not grow if your business grows. Like, it doesn't make sense. Like, you grow fast as an individual, then your business grows, right? Remember the character traits I told you, the 90%? So, if you're growing in those character traits and skills, the character traits, the skills will portray themselves in the business, right? Definitely. Then leadership is responsibility, leadership is influence, right? Leadership is influence. Just it. Thank you very much. I appreciate, unless there are any 1 or 2 questions before we can close this. But those are my details. I do trainings for teams, for departments, on culture leadership, on culture performance, and of course top performance. So thank you very, very much for your time, for your participation,